He'll take to the mound for the undefeated Post 31 squad of American Legion Baseball. And for Windsor, Matt Tuss will lead things off. McMahon, a tall, lanky left-hander, and I got to tell you, I really enjoy watching left-handed pitchers. I like watching anybody who can pitch. I appreciate it all, but with the view I get here at St. Peter's Field from way up on the press box in center field, you can really see the movement that lefties have on their pitches. And of course, that's Nate Swan behind the plate doing the catching. And defensively, I'll go around the horn for you after this pitch from McMahon. It's 2 balls, no strikes. 3 balls, no strikes. Over at first base, having a solid year, both with the glove and with the bat, Aaron Bloomer. Ed Lewicki, very versatile player. He's going to be at second base today. Ryan Blomo gets the start in shortstop, and big, strong Sam Major over there at third base. Well, so much for movement. There's a walk on 4 pitches to lead off the ball game. Corey Tilson up now, the center fielder. That outfield's got Kyle Horvath getting the start in left. The big stud, Mike Triller in center field, and Alex Miskovsky, the right fielder. There's a throw to first, and I'll get better with the cameras. I was kind of cheating down looking at my book. So McMahon, of course, being left-handed, and you've heard me say this for decades, he's going to be looking right at the base runner. He's got a good move. All lefties do. Windsor with just 9 players. Now, it's been a problem for him in the past for Legion Ball. Their number is really dwindling down. Like I said, Rutland, to this point in the season, hasn't suffered a loss yet, and they've played the Benningtons, the Fairhavens. They took on Greenville. I mean, we haven't seen the northern teams yet. And of course, everybody measures success by the northern teams in every sport in Vermont. And it's bitter to say a lot of times they're right, but I think they're a damn fine baseball team, Rutland Post 31. They've had decent pitching, and they seem to have an ample amount of. They don't have I'm trying to think of a big stud like a McDonald like Bennington used to have, or when Kyle Massey was here. They don't have like a superstar dominant pitcher, but they got a stable full of decent pitchers. It's nothing wrong with that. They've had, the hitting, to be honest with you, I can't believe how good the hitting is. Of course, I'm watching the Bloomers have grown up. They're grown men now, and they're hitting the ball just a ton. They're just pains in the butt to the opponents, the pitchers. Got Triller now, and I always think of him as, a youngster, but he's a big man now, and he's in center field, and he's swinging the bat unbelievably good. Back-to-back walks for McMahon. Hopefully he doesn't get too frustrated with that. As Alex Drost up now. Swan's hitting the ball very well. I mean, you start going through the lineup. Major, we watched him hit a home run the other night, and going to have a quick visit to the mound. They're going to just talk it up and settle it down a bit, and I'll save the tape. This is scheduled for 9. And then Lewicki had a couple of big games, but he's hitting the ball well. Remember against South Royalton, he had some big, crucial hits. And they'll be high. So McMahon searching for some control right now. Alex Drost at the plate. Win Townsend on deck. Like I said, it's a muted sun, a hazy day, very muggy. And if Windsor has their way, they'll be going 9 innings today. The field, when I walked across it to get my lineup, immaculate condition. Beautiful job by the grounds crew. The voluntary grounds crew, all the volunteers here at St. Peter's Field. Pitch coming in, and there's a strike. There's a snap, throw down. Oh, that was a close play. Swan, like I've said, and of course, it's not always a great thing to be endorsed by me. I've understood the negative karma I generate from people. I think Nate Swan's the best catcher in the league. I just, my opinion, and I can do that. I have an opinion. Oh, that's going to be a tough one. That's going to be in the gap. Triller will cut it off, and they're going to wave the runner. Nope, they put the brakes on. At first, it looked like they're going to send him, but they're going to have the bases loaded. So Windsor getting off to just a kind of start. They're probably pinching themselves, saying, I can't believe maybe it'll come together today. They have a group of good athletes. It's just, again, not a lot of numbers there. So the cleanup batter, Win Townsend up. He's going to be the catcher, and got the bases juiced, as they say. I don't know when the term juice meant the bases loaded, because I always think of juiced being you jacked up on steroids, but I guess the bases, if they're loaded, could be jacked up on base runners. Oh, that's close. That's close. Oh, that's so close. I'll tell you what, that's more effective than the pitcher doing it, because I think it's easier to take a read as a base runner off the pitcher when he's going to make his move. The catcher is just more of a shock factor. Oh, there's a strike. I got a McMahon. He'll get okay. He'll get loosened up. He might be one of those young pitchers that has to warm up a lot and didn't get enough time, or what he thought mentally wasn't enough time, or maybe he's just not focused, or he's nervous. But I got a feeling he'll do fine. Oh, great pitch. I used to say that when big old Zach Aquista-Pace would pitch for Rutland Post 31, and oh God, we'd grind it out with him. He'd have some awful innings, but then all of a sudden, when he found it, whatever it was, the rhythm. God, I'm looking on a breaking ball on the inside corner. Townsend will strike out. Bases loaded. First out of the inning. Jacob Page up now. Oh, but getting back to old Zach Aquista-Pace, I mean, after an inning or two, all of a sudden he kind of established a pitch and get loosened up, and mentally, mostly mentally with him, he'd get into the game, and next thing you know, he was like 4 or 5 innings in a row of just setting him up, knocking him down 1, 2, 3. I got a feeling McMahon's going to settle down here today. And, that like there, that shows to me right there. Even though it's called a ball, that he's mentally into the game and he's got his stuff today. He felt good enough. He brought that breaking ball a little bit, and Major will knock it down. Will get the out, and I tell you, that was a tough play. That's actually not Major. That's Bloomer. He's a Major Bloomer. So that the run will score, but I'll tell you what, McMahon gets out of this jam with just the 1 run coming in. Bases loaded, nobody out. He did a good job. Colin Smith. Colin Smith's going to be the pitcher today, and he's kind of an interesting young man. Got to chat with him very briefly in the dugout, but when he comes up to pitch, I'll tell you a little bit about him. I can tell you right now, he's one smart dude. And there's a strike. So remember, McMahon started off with back-to-back walks. Since that point, he's given up a base hit, which would indicate to me that he's finding the strike zone. And then he's had a strikeout, and that ground out there to first, and they're going to say he went, and there's going to be a strike right there. So an 0-2 count to Colin Smith. 1-0 Windsor in the top of the first on Munger Vision. In case I forgot to mention that, you are watching Munger Vision. Most of your sports, local stuff, any grade level, any age level, any gender, you're watching Munger Vision. And right there, you're watching McMahon come back and get the strikeout. I thought that was a good inning for McMahon. It's 1-0 Windsor with Rutland coming up to bat in the bottom of the first. We're going to start Rutland Post 31 off with the leadoff batter, Mike Triller, Ed Lewicki, Nate Swan, and Aaron Bloomer bats in that cleanup spot. And again, Triller just having a fantastic year, not only out in center field, but with the bat, coming off a 4-for-5 performance on the road. Another win for Rutland, but he's kind of unique. He's a big guy to start off in that leadoff spot. Hits the gaps very well, hits with power, knows the strike zone. Gets a lot of walks because the pitchers try to stay on the outside corner to him. He's a left-handed batter. On the mound, going to be Colin Smith. Colin Smith, number 7 in green for Windsor's first pitch of the ball game. Will tickle that outside corner for a strike. Now, I chatted with Colin Smith very briefly in the dugout, and he should be finishing his senior year of high school, he said, but he's one of those guys, brainiacs, jumped ahead, skipped a grade, graduated, and he's just finished his freshman year in college, so he'll be up 0-2 in the count now. You see Triller showing the bunt, and I think that's probably just to draw that corner in out there. Getting a lot of power in the top 4 batters. Actually, if you look at Major and Bloomer, top 6 bring a lot of power to the plate for Coach Palomo. That's going to be a slow roller out to second, and bobbled, and not going to get him. It was knocked down by Matt Tufts. Just had a problem picking the ball up, and I should mention that it's a very humid day, and that ball could be a little slick, a little moist, but Triller will be on first base via the air. Lewicki up, and like I said, Ed Lewicki had the big hits against South Royalton in the 6th and 7th inning that helped Post 31 rally for the win. There's the throw over to first, and boy, got a little break right there as the throw was to the inside of the bag and hit Triller and actually kept the ball in play. The pitcher, Smith, kind of a lanky guy. Looked to be about 6'3", 6'4" when I was standing next to him in the dugout. But of course, at 5'9", everybody looks 6'4", 6'5" to me. Triller with about a 6-step lead off the bag. He's off and running. He's gone, and the throw coming down. He's going to beat it. And again, that's what makes Triller unique, because he's a good-sized young man, but right there you can see he has got the speed and they have the confidence in him to let him take the steal. The last game here at St. Peter's Field versus Fairhaven Post 49, Rutland really unleashed quite a running game. Now it's going to be playable out in left field. They'll come in on the catch, and Triller unable to advance. So ball bobbling around, and he's going to go in, and that's just heads up. Nobody covered the bag. They came up the line to get the throw. And Triller already taking a wide turn, and that's just the missing ingredient the last couple seasons for Post 31, which is that savvy, that baseball savvy, like you just saw right there by Triller. Should mention Jacob Page made the catch out there in left field for Windsor. I'll do their defense for you in just a second as Nate Swan up now, the catcher. Fouls it off. Swan, again, batting in that number 3 spot. He's done a lot of damage for Post 31. I'm just catching up in my book. Again, he's another guy who can hit the gaps, hit for doubles. He's always a good contact batter. You don't see him go down looking at strike 3 very often. Knows that strike zone. Makes the pitcher work. And like I said, when I came here for the first game this year, I was kind of discarding any type of offensive attack. And I don't know why. I've watched these kids play since their 5th grade, but they got a lot of big bats in this order for Rutland Post 31. So Smith with the glance toward a third, and almost throws with his wrist, like throwing darts more than actually with a leg drive, if you watch Smith on this pitching technique right here. I'll tell you, Taylor Carter, defensively, is over at first base. Matt Tufts is playing second. Alex Drost, the shortstop, and Sean Pinzenal is the third baseman for Windsor. And will that be playable? They're all fading that way. Tufts will be in foul territory, make the grab. Triller going to go down the line and going to beat the tag. He'll be in there with the tying run on that ball that ended up in foul territory on the catch. So Tufts made the grab, and Triller able to beat the throw home. We have a 1-1 ball game. Aaron Bloomer up, the first baseman for Post 31. And like I said, both Bloomers hitting the ball continuous. I mean, their on-base percentage has just been phenomenal through the first 6 games. And that pitch outside. And let's set the, we never did give the catcher credit. That's Wynn Townsend behind the plate doing the catching for Windsor. And on a muggy day like this, that's a tough position for 9 innings. We'll see if Windsor's actually going to switch people around somewhere in the middle of the game position-wise. Outfield, you got Jacob Page in left. Corey Tilson's in center field, and Nate Martin is the right fielder. And that looks to be like it's going to be the inning as Tufts, well, that's kind of deceiving. Tufts called off the first baseman, couldn't make the catch. I'll drop in foul territory, and that'll just be a strike on Bloomer. Post 31 with a big July 4th weekend plan. They have a home game on the 3rd and on the 4th. And on my schedule, it says TBA, to be announced, the opponent and the time. But I think that's pretty fitting to have American Legion baseball played on July 4th weekend. And that's up in the air a mile. Drost at short. Says he's got it. He looks pretty sure he does. And there it is. He'll make the grab. We'll go to the second. Tied at 1 on Munger Vision from St. Peter's Field. So we look at the 7, 8, 9 part of the order with Taylor Carter, Sean Pinzenal, and Nate Martin due up for Windsor. Mike McMahon, the pitcher for Post 31, had a little bit of everything that first inning. He walked the first 2 batters he faced, then gave up a base hit, and then had a last two of the 3 outs he recorded were on strikeouts. So, like I said, he'll hopefully settle down here. Both strikeouts, we're looking at strike 3 also, which means that the breaking ball is working, but also he's using the sequence of pitches to keep the hitters off balance, not being very predictable. He throws that fastball, he throws a curveball, he's got the changeup he dabbles with, but one of the few lefties that I've talked with doesn't throw a slider. And that's going to be poked foul over the dugout and out of play. And while there's a break in the action, congratulations to the Rutland Town Chargers. They won the Youth League Championship for the Proctor League at the Major League Division. That's quite an accomplishment. They beat Proctor in the 2-game championship series. Well, there could have been a 3rd game, but they didn't need it. They swept them 2 games. And so the Rutland Town Chargers, that's, I believe, 5th, 6th grade level, whatever an 11-year-old is nowadays. In my family, let's see, 11 years old, you've still been struggling in second or third grade. So, oh, he went shopping high on that fastball. He elevated out of the strike zone. 3 strikeouts now for McMahon, and Sean Pinzenald up the third baseman for Windsor. And that outfield basically just straight away, about the midway point depth-wise. Major in on the, well, right on the edge of the grass of the infield at third base. Pitch called a strike. And the sunshine coming out. Hopefully that's good karma, and that will be waved at for strike 2. You see McMahon feeling better this inning. Just not a lot of time between pitches. Catching, getting a sign of firing, and he'll punch him out looking for a strikeout number 4. I just find it interesting. 3 of the 4 strikeouts, they are all resting the bat on their shoulder, just watching the pitch go by. So McMahon, with 2 down and nobody on, got Nate Martin up, the number 9 batter in the order. Floated a little bit outside. Glove of Swan popping too. He's got McMahon good and loose today. Got some velocity on those pitches. Same defense. You got Bloomer at first, Lewicki at second, Belomo at short, Major at third. Swan the catcher, Horvath, Miskovsky, and Triller the outfield. Not that it will come into play today, but strong arms in the outfield. Overall, all 3 outfielders. And that'll go to a 3-ball count. 3 balls and 1 strike. Doesn't want to issue his 3rd walk of the ball game. So just 1 pitch at a time as he tries to come back in the count. Right down the pipe. Might have been a tad high, but he'll get the call for a strike. We'll have a full count now with the top of the order, Matt Tuff, sitting on deck for Windsor post 25. Oh, that was a tight pitch to take with 2 strikes, but he'll draw the 3rd walk of the ball game. Tuff's up, did walk back in the first, and he eventually came around to score Windsor's only run. So back to the stretch. McMahon will go. There's the move to first, and a very short lead. Actually, the most effective pickoff move came from the catcher Swan when he threw down 2 or 3 times in that first inning, and came real close to picking the runners off. See Swan just kind of slide that pitch, and he didn't get the call for a strike, but he's pretty smooth behind the plate. Doesn't fight with the pitches, able to receive them, make them, if they're a strike, they look like a strike. If they're borderline, he doesn't struggle with it, so he might steal a call or 2 here for the pitcher, and of course he does frame the pitch well. He's had good success this year throwing runners out at second base. I don't have a percentage in front of me, but I know he's on the plus side, and that ball will just squirt through the legs a couple feet. Swan will hustle back and get it. The winning pitcher for Rutland Town in that championship game was Andy Kanash. And boy, he's going to be a, like I say, I always tell you, watch the youth league stuff. You're watching tomorrow's future high school stars today, and I think Kanash is going to be a good ball player when he gets up to this level. That will make it a 3-ball, 1-strike count. Somewhere I missed a pitch, but I get chatting a lot. And that's going to be the second base hit, and will it get to the gap? Nope, Triller will get there, get behind the ball, and hit the cutoff. Belomo at short. So with 2 outs, Windsor generating some offense with the walk and the base hit. Corey Tilson up. He also walked back in the first. He got stranded at third base, and McMahon was kind of breezing along there. Until the walk, he had retired 1, 2, 3, 5 in a row. Of course, it's important to keep the runner close, but you got to remember you got runners at first and second. So of course, Bloomer's going to be playing off the bag at first, but you got to keep peeking over there, making them let them know you're there. But the pitcher with the 2 down, he's got control of that 3rd out right here at the plate. Oh, with a big stop, Major with the big throw, got him. And he's been like Brooks Robinson over there at third base this season. He's a big guy, but he's very agile. So they'll strand 2. We'll stay tied at 1 going in the bottom of the 2nd. Oh, it always happens, right? The guy makes the big defensive play to end an inning, leads off offensively the next inning. We got that here with Sam Major going to step up. Now, Major, we watched him leave the park. Or was it the gone yard, or whatever the expression is? Hit a home run, the old-fashioned words to use, against Fairhaven to deep right center field. And that'll be just off the corner for a ball. Now, I compared him to Brooks Robinson, and I always remember the kids nowadays. They have no idea who those guys are because they're not old like me. But I just can't think of a modern third baseman. I got there's Craig Nettles, but he's too old to remember. Of course, Petrocelli. I watched him play for a long time for the Red Sox. He's too old. I don't like Rodriguez, that's why I don't mention him. But basically, he's just a good third baseman. We'll leave it at that. And I'll be off the fist and foul. I'd like to thank the Proctor Rangers for allowing me to cover their youth baseball action this year. They built me a platform to film off, videotape off from, and actually they're taking me to a Lake Monsters game in July. Never been to one, so that's kind of cool. But again, big thank you to that whole organization, and that's going to be cranked and going back on it in center field, and oh baby, that's gone. Yes, sir. You can see the fans out here in the bleachers. Yeah. They almost not only could have caught it, but let's pick up Major now. Yeah. So in the last two home games, Sam Majors has blasted them out of the park. And that's why I always tell you, come to the games, back this team up. But look, it's just like being at the major league level. Yep. Home runs hit out in center field. I won't show you the rest of the bleachers. There's nobody here. We got to fill these bleachers up. So Sam Major with a leadoff home run will break the tie. And now Jeff Bloomer up. Tough act to follow. Bloomer, the DH, batting for McMahon today. That's a long way to hit the home run, too. Oh, right on the butt. So he'll jog down to first base. And I guess if you got to get hit with a pitch, that's the spot to get hit with. Now Muskoski up, Alice Muskoski. He's very quietly having a solid year, Muskoski, from Burton, coming up to play for Rutland. The deepest home run I ever saw hit was Colin Temple. And it wasn't Legion baseball, it was MSJ baseball. Cleared the whole press box, and the baseball landed on the right field softball field behind the press box. Just a monster shot. And then Zach Aquistapace just about hit the top of the bleachers in Legion ball one summer. I thought the ball was actually coming in the window here, but landed just about the top bleacher. Oh, and Casey Harmon, the guy that got the big write-up in the Burlington Free Press, the kid that pitches for Clemson when he played for the, I want to say South Burlington, but when he played for the Northern Legion team, he hit 2 home runs that just about cleared the bleachers. So it's I've seen Ryan Kreider take the ball 400 feet out of here. Kyle Massey, he didn't hit him deep. He just hit him out of the ballpark. But that's still quite envious that somebody could. I could barely break second base when I hit the ball, but that will miss. So they had a talk with Colin Smith as he's giving up the home run and then hit Jeff Bloomer. Now Muskoski up in the count, 2 balls, no strikes. That could be a double play. There's one to first, and nope. That's actually going to turn into not only an error, but that'll allow Muskoski to go to second base as it was Drost on the throw that resulted in it being too high for the first baseman to make the grab. So Bloomer will be the force out on the 4-6, and then Muskoski will reach on the air. Of course, my book, always unofficial. You know you're looking at what I'm looking at, but Ryan Belomo getting a start at shortstop today. And there's a strike. At the knee is Colin Smith looking to kind of settle down here in the second inning. I should see Sam Major's dad, Kevin. Oh, that's got a chance to be caught. And yeah, a very flat line drive, and no way they can move up on the bases. So Muskoski will stay at second as that ball caught by Jacob Page over there. And there's 2 down now. Oh, I started talking about Kevin Major, the father of Sam and Max Major, and both sons remind me of the dad with the build and the athleticism. And Kyle Horvath up now. Horvath will watch ball 1. Horvath this year, we've seen him he's in the outfield today. He's in left field. He started a couple games in right field, but he's pitched 2 games, and actually he's done really well. He's another lefty. It's one of those rosters where you look and you got a little bit of everything you need for Rutland. Like I said, they got an abundance of decent pitchers, not overpowering pitchers, but they've got quite a few lefties, and it's going to be a base hit up the middle, and they're going to tell Miskowski to turn the corner, and he will score the 3rd run of the ball game. So Horvath will have an RBI single with 2 down. Mike Triller, top of the order up. So Rutland already threw the order once here, and we're in the bottom of the 2nd. They've got that 3-1 lead. Now, in case you missed it, top of the inning or top of the beginning of this inning for Rutland, Sam Major with a big home run, and that will skip over, and that's going to be a dead ball. Yeah, it's Horvath will. And they're trying to get 3rd base because they say he had stepped off the rubber. Yeah, and they were going with 2 bases on that one. And of course, my opinion means squat, but that's something I never understood. You've got 2 outs, and you should be worried about the run over at first, but he shouldn't consume you like that. You should realize you've got the 3rd out at the plate. Now, instead, they tried the pickoff, and he got a runner at 3rd. Mike Triller up. The center fielder, who reached on an error and eventually scored the 1st run of the game for Rutland. Oh, and he's going to drop one in for a base hit. It's going to be an RBI for Triller as he continues that toward hitting. And that has turned into a 3-run inning so far for Rutland as Horvath will come in. Ed Lewicki up, he flying out to left field, and of course that's Jacob Page over there in left field that made the catch for the put out. Hey, Lewicki getting the start at second base today. He's a good-sized second baseman. There goes the runner. The throw down from Townsend, and he's going to be in there. I'm looking for the call. Safe. Yeah. Well, he had to be because they actually made the catch just a tad bit to the 3rd base side of the bag, and if you've got the ball on him there, Triller's on the bag. So that's 2 stolen bases for Triller today. I'll tell you, post 31, the mercy rule for 9 innings is to have a 10-run or more lead after 7 full at-bats for your opponent who's trailing, so that'd be 7 innings. And that'd work out great because that means I could get home and take the kayak out. Oh, good pitch right on the corner. So Lewicki, again, like I said, very versatile. We've seen him in the outfield, the infield, pitching, and hitting the ball hard. That's going to be to Drost. He'll need a good throw to first, and that's the inning, but it was a dandy for Rutland. They were able to not only get a home run, but also pick up 3 more runs. They'll have that 4-1 lead as we go into the top of the 3rd on Munger Vision. Got the shortstop, Alex Drost, Win Townsend, Jacob Page, as they're right in the heart of the order here for Windsor. McMahon's breaking ball stayed up top on him, never dropped down. 4 strikeouts so far, but they've been beautiful things to watch as McMahon now with that 3-run lead. Sometimes you start getting that 3, 4, 5-run lead, it becomes a lot easier to throw strikes. It's funny how that works, but you're able to be a little more risky on your sequence of pitches, and that's going to be good hustle, but out of play as Bloomer will watch the ball bounce just beyond the dugout. And taking a quick check around the horn, it's still Bloomer at first, Lewicki at second, Blomo at short, and Major over at 3rd. Swan, of course, the catcher, McMahon on the mound, and that's also going to be out of play. Miskowski, Triller, and Horvath, this outfield here in the 3rd for Rutland, as they've got that 4-1 lead, looking for their 7th win of the season. Oh, and I haven't mentioned it yet, but mark off the playoff dates for Legion Tournament baseball action. It's going to be at Castleton State College this year. The top 8 teams that make the playoffs will head to Castleton, and I think that's a beautiful facility to go over there and watch a ball game. fourth walk of the ball game as Drost will head down to first, and Townsend, the catcher, now will come up. So yeah, I should have the date in my head, but I don't. I know it's either the 3rd week of July or the 4th week of July, but the American Legion baseball playoffs going to be over at Castleton State College. The way it actually works out, that's going to be a ball, is Friday night they're going to play 2 games at Castleton and a game here at St. Peter's Field, only because mathematically they need to get that many games in day 1. There's the throw to first and the runner back. Very short lead, very conservative lead over there for Drost. And again, it will be interesting to see if Windsor's going to try to run on Nate Swan. Took something out that pitch. It wasn't the straight change, but certainly took a little pace off the ball and had the batter out ahead of it. A 1-1 count here in a post-31 home game. And again, that backdoor breaking ball stayed around the plate, and he'll push it now to a 2-ball, 1-strike count. There is the look to first, but he'll come to the plate with the pitch. And again, I can't emphasize enough when the viewpoint I get up here when the lefties pitch, just the natural spin they get on the ball. Stevie Shortle, I loved watching Shortle pitch, big lefty for Rutland. Steve Shortle, still the only pitcher that I watched in 1 inning against Fairhaven. I think it was his first year pitching for Legion. Pick off 3 runners in 1 inning. Most phenomenal thing I've ever seen. And he'll get him. He waved at it and just had him completely fooled. And he'll get his 5th strikeout. First out of the inning. Now Jacob Page up. He grounded out to Bloomer at first. Remember, on his ground out, though, he drove in the run. Actually, it was quite a bullet down the first baseline, and it was a nice play by Bloomer. And again, it's not where the catcher catches the ball. That one crossed high. But yeah, Stevie Shortle picked off 3 Fairhaven base runners in that that inning, all in 1 inning. And actually, it was a rally by Fairhaven, and Steve came in, and I just couldn't see what they didn't see in his move, but phenomenal. That's back when I used to broadcast from behind home plate. Different look, because you could look right at the pitcher face on. So a 2-1 count to Jacob Page with Colin Smith, the pitcher, on deck. That's going to be the move to first. Yeah, McMahon kind of tips that move off a little bit because he comes a little bit further back off balance on his windup. See how much more compact he was on the windup right there? He didn't exaggerate the pause. And he'll push it to a 3-ball count again, so he's getting extended into the counts now. And on a humid day, that usually makes for pretty short work. And just off the corner. So a couple walks with a strikeout sandwiched in between, and runners at first and second, and Colin Smith struck out his first time up, and we will have another visit to the mound. It was a brief visit, but I'm sure enough was said, and that's going to be a chance for a double play. Belomo, there's a 6-4 and 3. They'll get the double play. Every game I've done, they've had at least 1 double play, and you can see how solid they were. So a 6-4-3 double play will end that threat. We'll go to the bottom of the 3rd, 4-1 Rutland over Windsor on PEGTV. Yeah, just glancing back through my book, most of the games I've done here at home, Rutland has actually, in a 7 and a 9 inning games, they've been able to turn 2 double plays per game. There's major league teams that don't do that. As Nate Swan up, he's only been up to 1 time. He's 0 for 1. He had popped up to the second baseman, Matt Tufts. And like I said, it says a lot when you get the catcher batting out of that number 3 spot. And Rutland's just had phenomenal string of excellent catchers throughout the last, well, I'd say 2 decades. Well, probably even going back further than that. But when you start glancing, of course, Ryan Carter most recently, and Pat Hackett before him, and that's on the infield. And Drost, the shortstop, taking about 6 steps in, will fade back, make the grab, and there's 1 down. So the leadoff batter retired. Swan will go back and get the gear on now. Aaron Bloomer up. He's also flied out, popped up on the infield, and it was Drost, the shortstop, who made the catch there. Can see if Smith has a little bit easier inning here, and he will hit his second batter. It was the type of pitch to get hit with, a real soft curveball. And so Bloomer will go down to first base, and I'll bring up Sam Major. Of course, last time up, Major hit the home run that broke the 1-1 tie. And I just want to remind you of some things going on in the area that are actually free to do but cool to do. And, of course, being the information station, I'd like to remind you that Tuesdays over in Castleton on the Green, they have the free music series, free concerts, and I've been over several times, and it's always good music. And Major, looking for a base hit, going to get it up the middle, and he'll have a single to go with that home run. So he's on a 2-for-2 day, and he wasted no time. He jumped on the first pitch. So Rutland with 1 out but 2 on. And now Jeff Bloomer up. He was hit by a pitch his last time up. He was one of the 2 batters that Colin Smith has hit so far today. And don't be surprised, there was a game earlier, and I want to say it was South Royalton, but it might not have been. It might have been Fairhaven. Rutland pulled a double steal off. Not saying they're going to do that here, but they've shown the tendency that they will, no matter who's on base and what the count is or the outs in the inning, they'll mix it up with the running game. Of course, for years, Tony Sorelli was the Legion coach here, and he really emphasized being aggressive, running the bases. And I believe that's a huge part of your offense. Came inside, but just a tad bit too much. Actually, not a bad pitch at all from a pitching perspective. That's putting the ball on the hands, right in on the fist. Yeah, Bloomer, then Miskovsky. And that's going to be another base hit. And they're going to wave him around. I was waiting to see it, and he's going to have Bloomer driving in Bloomer, and that'll be the 5th run of the ball game. And Major will end up at third base. So that becomes an RBI. And again, Rutland's done those little things so well. That base hit with Major moving up, taking third base, taking that extra base. It's that little stuff like that that means so much in the end of the game. Miskovsky reached on an error, and he eventually came around to score. And the big left-hander will take that one high for a ball. But yeah, Tuesdays, I think, starts at 7 o'clock. There's the Castleton Concert Series. And then, of course, Wednesday up in the park in Rutland, where the gazebo is, Main Street Park, there's a music series, and that's free. You just sit on the bench or bring a lawn chair or see if you went. Nobody's going to appeal. Nobody's looking, so they're going to call that a ball. So Miskovsky able to hold up on that. There goes the runner, and they will throw down, yeah. And Drost with the tag when it was late. That does a lot of different things there by taking second for Bloomer. Takes away that conventional or traditional double play. Takes away the force out. Puts another runner in scoring position. And Smith perfect on that pitch for a strike. He said Miskovsky coming up from the Burton area to play ball for Rutland. As is T.J. Oliver, who's on the Rutland roster. Oh, that's got a chance to drive in a couple runs. That's going to hit the gap and keep rolling. That will definitely drive in 2, as you can see. Bloomer coming in to score. I'll pick Miskovsky going up to third base, and he's going to have it. A 2-run triple by Miskovsky. And like I said, you start going through this Rutland lineup, and they have a lot more power than you realize at first. And Miskovsky right there, a great example of it, hits a triple to left center field, opposite field for him. And we'll see if Colin Smith's going to continue from the pitching position as the score now 7-1 in the 3rd. So they do stay with Smith. I had to figure they want to probably milk as many innings out of him as they can, since they only have 9 players in total. Pitching's going to be at a premium, and this is Ryan Belomo up. The shortstop for Rutland, he flied out to left field. He's only been up that one time, and of course that's Jacob Page that would make the catch. That's off the fist. That could be in a tough spot. That could be problems. And that's going to drop in. That will score the run, and then it will be picked up as it got a little bit behind Nate Martin, the outfielder, but Bellomo will pick up an RBI. Just hitting the right place at the right pace, and everything dropped in for him, and he'll pick up the 8th run of the ball game. And now Kyle Horvath, he had an RBI single, plus he scored a run also himself. So again, you look at that first batter to the 9th batter, and everybody being very productive this season for Rutland. And that's going to get the runner over to second base on the wild pitch. Yep, the breaking ball needed a couple more feet to get there. And Triller on deck, and that represents the top of the order for Rutland. Again, Colin Smith hasn't hurt himself with like a rash of walks. He has hit a couple batters, but pretty much it's just been some good hitting. He's been in the strike zone, and Rutland able to really get the bats around. That'll be a strike on the outside corner. And then Friday Night Live, of course, it starts Friday nights. I believe it's 6 to 10 is the start time, is 6 o'clock. But always a couple music acts down there at the Center Street location, and that's going to be foul ball. Hug the line, but foul. So again, I don't want to hear any of this. There's nothing to do in Rutland. I just told you there's 3 free concerts on a Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday night, all within 15 minutes of each other. Plus just the hiking trails and the ponds and lakes to go kayak in. There's all kinds of stuff to do in the great state of Vermont and Rutland County in particular. Plus Legion baseball's free. You get down here, and I tell you, don't be late getting on the bandwagon. You get on it now. That's going to be the second base. Tufts will bobble, but pick it up and get the out. That's the second out of the inning. And the runner, of course, Bellomo did move up to third base. So Horvath will ground out 4-3. Triller up, and he's been busy. He's reached on an error and scored. He's had a single, driven in a run, and stolen 2 bases. And that's all within the framework of just the third inning here. You can see Townsend, the catcher, came up and a little pump fake down to third base. Again, not a good indication when the top of your orders come up for the 3rd time in just 3 innings as far as the defensive perspective from Windsor. On a warm and muggy day in a muted sunshine. Baseball weather finally. Actually, I got to tell you, when I covered the high school baseball season, high school softball season, I don't remember having a postponed game due to weather. Able to get right through it. Oh, nice pitch by Smith. I'm not sure. It looks like he threw that with a 2-seamer, but that had some nice movement on it on that outside corner. So Triller, with a 3-1 count, takes all the way and will draw the walk. So again, Triller, leadoff spot's been on base all 3 times. 3 different ways he's gotten on base. Now Lewicki up 0 for 2. He's flied out to left and grounded out to the shortstop. First and third, I'm sure they'll send Triller here with 2 down. Lewicki will take one looking, and Triller stayed at first that time. Taylor Carter, first baseman, kind of holding the runner on. He's in an awkward position off the bag and behind the bag, and now he gets up to receive the throw. Usually he's staying in front of the bag to take the throw. He's behind the bag. And that one came up inside for a ball. And like I said, post 31 with a July 3rd and 4th game scheduled. Bunch more home games coming up. And that's almost like a screwball action, even though he doesn't throw it, but came down on the inside to the right-handed batter. The weeknight games start at 5:30 for post 31, and then noontime starts for the weekends. And this could be the inning as Drost going to go all the way to first, and there's the out. But Rutland again doing a lot of damage, pushes the lead up to 8-1 as we go into the 4th inning of play from St. Peter's Field on Munger Vision. McMahon with the 5 strikeouts. If there was a downside, that would be the walks he's issued. I mean, they haven't really hurt him too much other than the first run being scored because the leadoff batter drew the walk and then worked himself around the bases. But again, that defense behind him, once he gets people on base, they're able to make plays for him. Now Tyler Carter up. He's 0 for 1 today. See, a lot of times, too, a team just gets through the second time through the order and they get to watch the pitcher and pick up his release point, watch his motion. And sometimes you start putting hits together. Not saying that's going to happen here, but it is the second chance through. And that's going to be lifted out toward Muskoski, and Alex will make the grab. Hardly had to move one about 5 or 6 feet to his left. Now Muskoski also, speaking of the amount of pitchers on the roster, he's another left-handed pitcher that they have. So Horvath's a lefty. McMahon obviously is out there. Muskoski is, and that's just pure heat right there. Elevated the fastball, and we'll get it by Sean Pinzanault. Pinzanault also 0 for 1 in the ball game, and Martin on deck. Tried to bring it outside a little bit and stretch the plate a tad bit too far, and it'll be ball. A 1-1 count in an 8-1 game in the 4th, scheduled for 9. Yeah, I mean, just talking about Rutland and activities. God, just last Saturday night at the Keefe Gym, we had boxing fight night. There's bigger, better cities that don't have stuff like that. That was awful cool. Cal Joslin Jr. brought his stable of fighters and a whole bunch of fighters from Precision Gym and Springfield Gym. And that was a great night of a different type of activity to watch. It was fun to call that. And that will be yet another walk issued by McMahon. I better start counting this up now. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 walks to go with those 5 strikeouts. But this is why this is a good ball game for him to be throwing in right now. Got an 8-1 lead. He can work on that stuff. Work out the kinks. Now be fouled into the screen. Plus, if you get too bored, well, geez, you can always turn on Channel 15. Always got good programming on Channel 15. There's the throw to first, and ooh, he got back well ahead of the throw, but he kind of his momentum almost took him over the bag. Bloomer, Aaron Bloomer, they're holding him on defensively. Long look, but he's coming to the plate, and can just location right now, and he'll put that in the outside corner. 0-2 the count to Pinzanault, the third baseman for Windsor. Oh, I don't know how that wasn't a strike. Oh, with 2 strikes, you can't be watching a pitch like that. He got lucky right there. But that pretty much was picture perfect. Good night. Adios. Hasta la vista. As he will take strike 3 looking. Got 6 walks to go along with 6 strikeouts. Top of the order, Matt Tufts up. Tufts officially 1 for 1 as he walked and has singled, and that pitch will be outside. I'll tell you, in the month of July coming up, they've got the New England Barbecue Championship over in Windsor, Vermont. I went to that last year. That was awesome. If you want to see, you know, you watch the Food Network and they've got all those challenges and barbecues. It's the real deal over in Windsor, Vermont. At the Harbor Room Brewery they have it, and it's chefs from all over North Carolina, St. Louis, some Vermont, and it smells just like professional barbecue going on all over the place. It's like a fairground setting. That's July 25th and 26th. Or it's either 24th or 25th. It's the weekend of the 25th. It's worth the hour ride to get over there. And I mean, I'm one of those Bobby Flay backyard wannabes, but man, you get over there and you taste real barbecue done professionally, long and slow cooking. It's like, take your socks right off. Oh, nasty stuff. You'll strike him out to end the inning, and that will be 7 strikeouts now in the ball game for McMahon. Colin Smith has allowed 7 hits. He's hit 2 batters, and he's only had a couple walks. Walks really haven't been his issue. Like I said, it's just post 31, just good hitting ball club. Nate Swan going to lead things off as they're at the 3-4-5 spot. Swan 0 for 2 today. He's popped up to second and flied out to the shortstop. So he'll get underneath that one, and that's going to stay on the infield also. And looks like third base coming over, and will make the grab. That's Pincinalt. Made that a little bit of adventure on that catch there. It looked like was it ice cream cone or snow cone, whatever they call it. The ball popping up out of the glove. So Swan is flied out to third, short, and second as he's doing his tour of the infield. Bloomer up now, Aaron Bloomer, as Colin Smith works his way into the 4th inning. Aaron Bloomer today, well, he started his first at bat off. He popped up to the shortstop, Drost, and he was hit by a pitch in the 3rd, and eventually he came around to score a run that inning. And a good eye there, and he'll lay off from that pitch. Just glancing around defensively, not that they have any substitutions, but nobody shifted around defensively yet for Windsor. That means that it's still Carter at first, Tufts at second, Drost at short, Pincinall at third, Page, Tilson, and Martin in the outfield, and Townsend doing the catching behind the dish. And now he'll catch the inside corner for a strike. Like I said, 7 hits. That's pretty good day's work, and we're only in the just starting the bottom of 4th. That will be fouled off. I'd like to take this time to invite you to watch Sports Beat. That's my talk show. It's been on for 15 years at Channel 15, and what I have going on in July is the great marathon runner Bill Rogers took time to sit down and chat with me while I was here running the Crawley Road Race. So I got Bill Rogers on for the month of July, and he's a pretty cool guy to talk to. That will be foul. Yeah. And that will be an error on Coach Palomo down there at third. 15, 20 years ago he might have had it, but he did make the error there. But yeah, you can watch Sports Beat Mondays at 4:30 in the afternoon, Tuesdays at 5:30 in the afternoon, and Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Or you can just go to PEGTV.com, click Video on Demand, and you can watch Channel 15 programming, sports, talk shows, whatever, at any time you want, any convenience. And it's free service to go to the internet and use PEGTV.com. Oh, that one got roped out to the gap, and that's going to roll a long way. That could be a triple as he's going to cut the corner. Yeah, he's heading in as Bloomer will have just enough gas to get to third base. Yep. That's more running than he's used to running all season. So Bloomer will be over at third. And for people that have been to St. Peter's Field before, remember the green wall they used to have in left field? Well, they dismantled that. And it's just acre after acre of wide open field now out there. And that ball can roll for 400 some odd feet. It's almost big enough to be a par 3 golf hole. But that's quite a shot by Bloomer. And now Sam Major up. 2 for 2 today. He's had a home run and a single, and oh boy, he could have done it again, as that's going to be all the way up to the top of the bleachers. Oh, that was almost the last row, as Major, with major power today, will have his second home run. Yeah, I was getting ready to defend myself as that thing came on out. So Major will have a 2-run homer. And you know what Bloomer's thinking? I didn't have to run so hard to third. I was going to be coming in shortly anyway. So a crushing blow. I tell you, that was such a home run that impressed the center fielder, Corey Tilson, as we're going to have a pitching change coming up as Rutland pushing the lead now to 10-1 in the 4th with only the 1 out. Corey Tilson, number 16, who was the center fielder, now the new pitcher out there for Windsor. So Tilson, one of those guys that got chasing those home runs around, watching the ball go. He was impressed with the home run by Major. We had to guess off almost 400 feet out here in center field, but he was laughing himself. That was quite a shot to watch. But he's the new pitcher now. And this is going to be Jeff Bloomer. Strike called. So the book on Colin Smith, he went 3 1/3 innings, allowed 10 runs, gave up 9 hits. Going to see Sam Major in Nightmares tonight. As Major with 2 home runs. That last one was just, well, boy, I know they're both home runs. They all count, but that last one was just impressive. And he'll come inside on Bloomer for a ball, and that'll make it a 3-ball, 1-strike count. So the mercy rule, like I said, is a 10-run lead or more after your opponent has had 7 full innings at bat. So that'll be high and inside. And Tilson will walk his first batter he faces. Now Miskovsky up. He's reached on an error, and he's had a triple that drove him 2 runs, and he scored twice himself. So again, he's quietly having just another solid ball game, Miskovsky is. And what they did with Colin Smith, the starting pitcher, he's now the left fielder, and they took Jacob Page and slid him over into center field to take Tilson's spot. And it's not that Windsor's played bad. It's just that Rutland is solid all the way, offense, defense, hitting, pitching. You know, they're just, like I said, Windsor pitching, I think, has only issued 3 walks and hit 2 batters. It's just been a lot of getting the good contact with the bat. Yeah, so see, if you came to these games and sat out in the bleachers, you could be catching home run balls, just like big league games. And that will miss Tilson getting behind in the count here. 3 balls, no strikes. And last thing he needed, of course, you only didn't get a lot of time to warm up. You got the standard issued amount of time, but he'd been playing out in center field, and sometimes it takes a little bit more than what they give you to actually get not only mentally into the game, but to also just get physically loose enough. I mean, most of his ball game up to this point was just watching the home runs go. Oh, that's a shot to center field. Page will back up, get a little momentum coming forward, and field the ball and get it in. So another base hit, 10 base hits for Rutland now. As Bloomer goes to second, Miskovsky's at first. Miskovsky's been on base all 3 times. And now Ryan Belomo up. 1 for 2. He had a single his last time up, and he also drove in a run. So again, you start looking through that whole roster from the first 9th batter, and nice scoop behind the plate by Townsend. Not conventional, but he got the job done on the backhand stop. And the sun out now in full force as it's fought its way through the clouds. And turning away from that pitch is Belomo as it came up and inside. Kyle Horvath on deck. So Rutland with a 1 run in the first, 3 in the second, 4 in the third. 2 so far here in the 4th. He'll be short hopped by the catcher, Townsend. Well, it's tough with just the 9 players for Windsor as far as obviously, I mean, you could have 4 or 5 good pitchers, but I don't really think they've got that. But just substitution-wise and shifting people around-wise, and that walk, that's going to load the bases up. Yeah, for Horvath, and Kyle Horvath today, he has singled, scored a run, driven in a run, and he grounded out to Tufts at second base. Top of the order, Triller sitting on deck. There's a strike called. It appeared to be a breaking ball. As again, right now, the way that pitch came into the left-handed batter, that was right in his power zone too. Much better location that time on that inside or outside corner of the left-handed pitch batter. So I'll make it a 0-2 count to Kyle Horvath. Of course, Kyle's brother Sean Horvath played for Legion Ball several years ago and was solid. Usually over at third base he was. And again, he performed very well. Kyle, though, completely different player than what his brother was. When I remember watching them both play. Kyle, just a lot different ball player. Does things physically different. think he's a little more consistent hitter than Sean was. And I've known Sean for years. That's no knock on him. That's going to be up the middle, and that's going to score at least one, and they're going to hold Muskowski at third. They get the ball in play, and that's now the third run of the inning, so Bloomer will score. Muskowski will stop at third. To second base goes Belomo. Horvath with his second RBI of the ball game. 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs and a run scored for Horvath, and he's batting now the number 9 spot doing that. Triller, who's been on base all 3 times, top of the order. That's a ball. Yeah, Triller, his first time up, reached on an error, scored a run that first inning. And then he had a single and an RBI in the second inning, and he also walked in the third. So he's reached base 3 different ways today. And he's picked up an RBI. He's got 3 stolen bases. And all those stats equal a career for me. So he's had a good day, and we're still only nearing the midway point of the ball game. Oh, that's up the middle, and it's going to slow down on the mound. There's one. Safe. He's going to be safe at first. So good hustle getting down the line, but a heads-up play by Drost, the shortstop, as it hit the pitching mound and slowed the ball down just enough. Muskowski will score. I'm looking for Ryan. Yeah, he's down at third. Blomo's at third. Horvath is forced out, and Triller, on a fielder's choice, will be at first base. Ed Lewicki up. He is the 9th batter to come to the plate. And I think, let me see his jersey number. That could be Lewicki. It looks a little small. I don't know if they brought the pinch hitter. I missed the PA announcer, Mr. Shortle, Steve Shortle Sr. Not here today. Or even my niece, Nicole Densmore. She's not here to do it today. I've done it for other programs. If they give me the microphone, I do the TV thing plus announce the batters so we know who's up. And out of play. And that is, okay, I didn't think that was Lewicki. He's way too physically small. That is Eric Godzik at the plate, number 35, pinch hitting for Lewicki. So Godzik getting his first chance today to swing the bat. See if they re-enter Lewicki defensively, or if they're going to have Godzik come in and take a spot. Yeah, first and third's a situation with the runners. Not that you want to walk anybody, but it would not force a run in. 2 down, 12-1 Rutland in the bottom of the 4th. And that's going to nick the outside corner and get the strike call. And so Tilson, who came on in relief of Smith this inning, will walk him and load him up. And that forces me to go to another column in my scorebook. There we go, as I just catch up. So bases loaded, Swan due up, and it will not be Swan. So they start going to the bench here, getting some people some playing time, and I better grab my roster. Scott Crosby. So I think Scott will probably come in and do some catching. And give Nate Swan, who's already caught a ton of innings this year, a little time off. Oh, it's a warm, humid day to have all that catcher's gear on and then be in that squat position. Again, bases loaded, 2 down. 12-1 Rutland over Windsor. And boy, that breaking ball, he just pulled the string on it, and Crosby will swing over the top of the pitch. And I have seen Crosby did get in one of the home games this year and was able to get some action, not only hitting but catching, and that's a fair ball, and he's going to come off the bench and drive in 2 runs as Triller, nope, 1 run, as Triller's going to go back and be safe. So again, they'll go to the bench and deliver another base hit. And he'll pick up an RBI, and I've got to find it was Ryan Belomo that scored. Triller will go is at third, Godzik is at second, and Crosby at first, and Aaron Bloomer was due up, and I'll have to wait and see if it is Aaron. foul ball, and that actually was caught. Nope, dropped down, so it's foul tipped. And I don't think that's Aaron. It doesn't look big enough. And again, this is where they need to third, and boy, what was he thinking? Yeah, should allow another run to come in. Godzik will come in. And I just want to double check. The bases were loaded. All you had to do was step on third base, and you had the third out. And that's Matt Blandy, number 32. So Blandy will make contact. So Triller came in. Godzik came in. Crosby should be at third. He is. And Blandy will end up at second base. So yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but that was a force out at any base. He just had to step on third base, and that would have been the third out. Of course, it's easy to play from up here. So it goes to a 15-1 lead for Rutland, and we're only in the bottom of the fourth. Boy, he turned around on that pitch and foul. Yeah, right on somebody's bumper. Oh, that's better. I did a Mill River softball. I do a lot of Mill River softball, but I park way beyond the center field fence because I didn't think anybody could hit me out there, and I got clocked. Or my vehicle did. It hurt me as much as it did my vehicle. Big dent in it. Madeline Pritchard hit the ball. Oh, that's coming out to center field. Going back, you got a late start on it, and we'll make the grab. That'll be the third out of the inning. It was a big inning for Rutland. They have a 15-1 lead over Windsor as we go to the fifth inning to play from St. Peter's Field. So Corey Tilson, the pitcher, will lead things off. Drost and then Townsend as McMahon with 7 strikeouts, 6 walks in the ballgame. You say 6 walks, but actually I think he's pitched well even with the 6 walks. He'll start Tilson out with a strike. And yeah, he's had at least 1 strikeout in every inning he's pitched. He's also had the help of a double play, and that'll be a foul tip caught. And that is definitely Crosby behind the plate. Blandy's gone to first base. Eric Godzik's playing second. It looks like a new third baseman. It's Dan Favreau over at third base. So now Favreau from Burr and Burton, also playing for Rutland, has had a phenomenal year at the plate. Again, you go to your bench, you can rest him. Bring in somebody, well, major at third base, they with a couple home runs. Now you bring Favreau back, and he's got a tremendous on-base percentage. Not bad to have that kind of talent and depth. McMahon going back to work here will go to Belomo at short. He'll scoop, set, and fire. Got the out. Now he threw that was Belomo to Blandy, and they played a lot of hockey together at the younger age level for Raha. But they'll retire Tilson, the leadoff batter here in the 5th. Looking more and more like it could be one of those mercy rule shortened games, which would be 7 innings. So Drost up. He singled and walked, and it'll be a swinging strike, foul ball. So let me just go over real quickly again defensively. Bloomer's gone off from first base. Matt Blandy has come out to take his spot. Of course, Blandy, Rutland High School student. Eric Godzik's gone into play second, replacing Lewicki. And nasty looking curveball there. Plus, I'm just writing this down myself. So Godzik's at second. Belomo stays at short, and Dan Favreau is at third. Horvath, Triller, and Muskowski, that remains the outfield. Oh, and Crosby. Scott Crosby's gone behind the plate for a new catcher. Is Scott Crosby. Ooh. That's a tough one to take with 2 strikes. Let's see where they put the target. Yeah, I see Crosby slide to the outside part of the plate, and McMahon was almost perfect on the target. Good swing with 2 strikes, fouled back, and good defensive swing right there by Drost. that lone run coming back in the first inning when McMahon started off walking the first two batters, then gave up the single, and then he gave up a single in that inning. And also after that, he's pretty much looked real sharp out there for post 31. And he really hasn't slowed down a lot between pitches. He's kept a decent pace, and he will get his 8th strikeout of the ball game as Drost will go down swinging, and now Townsend up. Townsend has struck out twice. He's 0 for 2. Took one looking, a third strike looking, and went down swinging a second time around. And even with the 6 walks, Windsor's had a lot of problem trying to generate some offense. I'm sure Windsor's glad to see Favre win at third base. That means Major sitting down for the rest of the ball game. He's had a 2 for 3 or a 3 for 3 day at the plate, 2 home runs and a single. And that last home run was pretty darn impressive. Not that the first one wasn't, but the second one was just long gone. So McMahon fixing his wardrobe a little bit, getting set, and put a bend on the ball, but it will be too far inside. No squirt past Crosby and hit the backstop. And that's one thing that's changed a lot in the last 7 or 8 years here. Legion balls, when they tore down the old press box behind home base, they moved the new press box to the new retaining wall back there, about 15 feet closer to home base. So on those pass balls, wild pitches, it's a lot harder to score from third base now. Not that that's come into play today. That'll be a walk. His 7th walk to go with 8 strikeouts, yeah. And Jacob Page up. He's grounded out to Bloomer at first, and he walked. Now McMahon, like I said, we're in the 5th. He really hasn't thrown his pitch count is not extraordinarily high, but it is a very humid day. But the thing about that last inning is he sat on the bench a long time. As Rutland able to score, I believe it was, I want to go back, I think it was 8 runs that inning. And they scored 7 runs that last inning, and it took a long time. He's not hitting today. He's being DH'd for, so he just basically sat on the bench. That could be what we're watching right here is just from the long delay he had. Godzik will slide to a knee, get it, and Plainview will make the grab. And Rutland's going to hold that 15-1 lead going into the bottom of the 5th over Windsor in Legion Baseball action on Munger Vision. Strike called. I can tell you right now that we have a new batter at the plate, but I just can't see his jersey number to tell you who it is, but we will catch up. Strike 2. And I expect to see a lot of different, because we had defensive changes. We'll see the batting order change around here with some new faces in it. But without the PA announcer, we'll have to wait till I can actually see the young man's back of his jersey to get the number. Whoever it was did a good job with 2 strikes to foul that pitch off and stay alive. It looks like David Bartlett, but I don't know that for sure, so I will wait. He's batting the DH spot right now. So Jeff Bloomer will be done for the afternoon. Getting Rutland with some big innings, 7 runs being the last inning. And there'll be a number down the first baseline and foul. And that is a 27, so that is David Bartlett at the plate. Now, so plus I just somebody say that, boy Dave. So Bartlett with that 0-2 count, or 1-2 count, and Tilson getting set here to throw. Hopefully he wants to do is get this leadoff batter off, and he'll come inside and just miss, hitting the third post 31 player this afternoon. So Tilson, just the second pitcher used by Windsor, and an accidental swing is going to be foul and picked up down at third base by Pincenalt. Yeah, they didn't want that baby rolling back into fair territory. They never would have got him. So Bartlett will head back down to pick up the bat. Now Bartlett also pitches, so I don't know if they're going to. I can't see him making a change with man with Bartlett in the DH spot. Even though that'd be the place to do it, wouldn't it? Yeah. Then you would just have your pitcher bat from that point on. Well, we'll have to see what transpires in the top of the 6th. We're in the bottom of the 5th, and Rutland in control here at 15-1, looking for yet another win this 2010 season against no losses. And Tilson throws in an overabundance of breaking stuff, a lot of junk stuff. But a lot of pitchers nowadays, they just work on all that junk. They don't really concentrate on having a good fastball. And that will be fouled out of play. So we'll stay at a full count to David Bartlett, the leadoff batter here, in the bottom of the 5th for Rutland. Still some big games here to be played at St. Peter's Field. Got the Brattleboro's, the Benningtons. And tell you what, he worked his way back from being an 0-2 count to getting a walk. And now Moskovsky up, and I believe it will be Alex. Yeah, Moskovsky coming up, and they are going to hold the runner on at first. Moskovsky, of course, a left-handed batter. That's going to create a bigger hole for him at between the first and second baseman to pull the ball through. Moskovsky having yet another good day, as he's been on base all 3 times. He's had a couple RBIs, and he scored 3 runs. Nothing wrong with that. And Tilson just looking to have a little bit less work here in the bottom of the 5th. And that'll stay outside. So that's still Townsend doing the catching as he's into his 5th inning of work behind the plate for Windsor. And there is the strike call. Like I said, the schedule tells me July 3rd and July 4th Rutland will be at home, but those are TBAs to be announced against who. I don't know, maybe they grab like an Addison team, or maybe a Northern team. I'd like that to be able to watch some of the other divisions. I'll tell you, the bleachers weren't full, or the ones over by the concession stands, but with 15-1 to score, a lot of people headed home. And again, a nice eye right there, and that'll make it yet another full count. So from the stretch, you can see Tilson looking in for the target. And that is going to be going back, Page going back, and can't get to it. It's going to roll to the wall, and will they try to score Bartlett? No, they're going to hold him up at third base. So another extra base hit for Moskovsky, as he's just been hitting the ball a ton here. So he's got a single, double, and a triple going so far. So he's just a home run away from hitting for the cycle. And, well, maybe enough ball game left. And this should be Ryan Belomo, and it looks like Ryan. So we'll go with the assumption that this is Ryan Belomo. And I don't think it's going to be deep enough. Oh, he's going to get backed up, and Townsend will make the grab. As the ball came back on him a little bit, but a good job by the catcher sticking with it. So that's the first out, but also the runners couldn't advance on that. And Kyle Horvath's spot, and that is Kyle Horvath coming up. So second and third, 1 out, 15-1 to score in the bottom of the 5th, scheduled for 9. I don't think we're going to make it. Probably have a mercy rule game. And Horvath will keep that on the infield. Looks like Drost at short, settling underneath it. And, well, backed up a little bit. There is really no breeze blowing, so after getting the first 2 batters on, a couple pop-ups, and it's going to be up to Triller to try to drive those runs in. Again, I go through Triller's scorecard today, and he has been on base all 4 times. All 4 of them different ways he got on base. And Triller took that pitch for a ball. So the walk and the double had Rutland in position second and third, nobody down. And then Belomo popped up to the catcher, and Horvath flied out on the infield to the shortstop. And Tilson trying to get out of this inning with no damage done. And that's going to be the first, and going to go by him. That's going to drive in at least one run. And they're going to hold the runner at third. So an RBI and another single for Triller. And that'll make it a 16-1 game now. That was just a hot shot down the first baseline for Triller. Now Eric Godzik up, and this will be the second at bat for Godzik. As he came in to hit for Lewicki, and then he stayed in defensively to play second. Now Eric, we've also seen not only play the field defensively, but he's also pitched. And foul ball, not by much, but a foul ball as he's able to, that breaking ball hanging up on the inside, able to turn on it and pull the ball pretty viciously down the third baseline. So back to work goes Tilson, and that one will just float on him. Started high, stayed high, and he'll go to 1-2 in the count. So Tilson from the set, and the pitch coming in, and it's going to be scooped up in the dirt by Townsend. He was able to keep the ball in front of him, and now will keep runners at first and third. And the pace of the game kind of has ground down a little bit as the innings have gone on. That looks to be catchable. Smith came in and misjudged it. Yeah, he came in on the ball, and it came over his head, and Triller will go to third and stop at third. And at second base will be Godzik. Now in the scorebook, that's going to go down as a double. And an RBI is Godzik able to drive in. Miskovsky. Now Crosby up. Remember, he came in to relieve Swan behind the plate, and Crosby will swing from the right side. I'm waiting for a call. That's a fair ball. Tell you, and they're just, again, they've hit everything today that the pitchers have thrown at him. As Triller comes in to score the 18th run, Godzik will stop at third, and Crosby, of course, at first with an RBI. And Blandy now getting his chance to swing the bat in Aaron Bloomer's slot. So I do believe this is Blandy. No, second time up for Blandy. And he'll take a strike right there. Yeah, so Blandy reached on an error on the third baseman. And that was his only time he's been up. No, that's going to fade over and be out of play as they watch the ball land behind the post 31 dugout. And Kyle Horvath going to head over and pick up that foul ball. And I'm just looking through that roster. I don't know where they're going to plug Favreau. Oh, in Major spot. So Favreau will bat in Sam Major spot. That'll be fouled straight back. So it's been good battle here between Tilson and Blandy. A couple strikes on him, and Blandy been able to foul off some good pitches. And he'll be patient right there, and that'll be high. Even for the big guy like Blandy, that was high. And he'll even the count now off at 2-2. There's Windsor. You know, we're still only a quarter of the way through the Legion season. But you got to really look at them with their, I mean, not that they're not trying stuff, and they do have some talent. But just the lack of numbers, just 9 people. Just think if somebody's sick or somebody gets injured or one guy quits. I mean, got to think about the rest of their season, what it's going to be like for them, or what it would be like for them. And that's going to be a slow one to hit the third, the scoop, the throw, and got him. That's going to be the inning, but again, Rutland picking up some more runs. They'll have an 18-1 lead going into the 6th over Windsor. Mike Triller going to move from center field into the pitching mound. That'll push. They're going to put Miskovsky in center field. Bartlett went to left, and Horvath remains in right. And that's where we start right now. And Colin Smith will be the leadoff batter here for Windsor. And a strike called. So it's shaping up to be looking like it's going to be a 7-inning or 6.5-inning ball game. So Triller with back-to-back swinging strikes, or back-to-back strikes, I'm sorry. And I'll tell you what, it's gotten muggier and warmer as the day's gone along, so. Boy, Triller made short work of that as he will strike out Smith. Now, the unofficial book on McMahon is he struck out 8, walked 7, and really, I just thought he pitched very well. A lot of his walks were close, were borderline, could have gone either way. Or he wasn't so crazily erratic that you're like, oh my God, I gotta go take him out. Not like that, remember the movie Bull Durham where Tim Robbins, the young pitcher, they're trying to bring him up through the minor league system. Just at the beginning of the movie, he's just like wicked wild, hitting, missing by 20 feet. McMahon wasn't like that at all. I mean, like I said, he could have gone either way. That's going to be over the top of Belomo by just about an inch. And so Triller will give up that single. Sean Pinzenalt up now. Pinzenalt, the third baseman, has struck out and he's walked. I don't see what damage it would be, as Taylor Carter was the young man got the base hit. I forgot to tell you that. And I know you're down by a lot, but what harm would be to steal a base or attempt to steal a base? Just trying to pick up your bench a little bit and get them a little more involved in the game. And Triller again hitting his spots pretty easy here in the early going of his tour. So I'm assuming he's going to pitch the 6th and 7th. Oh, good night, as Triller made that look awful easy. Now Nate Martin up. He has walked and struck out. And that pitch too far outside will be a ball. Triller not wasting any time between pitches, that's for sure. He's catching, getting his target, getting his signal, and going with it. Which is okay, no problem at all. And boy, that's been his spot so far in this inning. He's been hitting that pretty much at will. Top of the order, Matt Tufts on deck. Throw to first, and Carter back ahead of the throw. And he'll get him to go fishing, and he'll chase that. And again, look at the last couple of games I brought you from Legion Ball. This is a different array of names who've been doing the pitching. I mean, that's a great position to have depth like that. Yeah, I'll go through. I've got the roster in front of me and just start count. Well, they got a break right now, but just to count the number of pitchers. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. They have 12 players listed with the capability of pitching. Foul tip, caught, strike 3, a strong inning by Triller. It's 18-1, post 31 with the lead, going into the bottom of the 6th. And just wants to survive this inning and get it to the 7th for Windsor. As Favreau will get his first chance to swing the bat. He came in to play third to replace Major, and what a major pain in Windsor's butt Major was. 2 home runs and a single for Major, and now Favreau. We'll watch that one come skipping in for a ball. Yeah, the temperature probably has gone up 7-8 degrees since the start of the ball game. Sun's come out in full force. It was a muted sun early, hazy. And I'm glad they got the game in. I don't want, you don't want postponements or rainouts. And I like Legion baseball. I like baseball anyways to call. It's a pretty relaxing video shoot. Pull down the third baseline, foul. Actually, I find everything I shoot relaxing, or I wouldn't do it. Or not like relaxing like we want to fall asleep, but I find it an easy, fluid flow thing to do. Or I wouldn't do it. That's going to be the short. Drost stays down on the ball. The throw. Nice scoop over at first base by Carter. So they retire Favreau. That's one out here in the bottom of the 6th. Now I'm just looking. Bartlett should be up. Second time for Bartlett. So he came into bat for Bloomer. Jeff Bloomer. Or the way it's spelled is Geoff, so Geoff Bloomer. Rusty DeWeese Lager has a whole, nothing to do with Jeff Bloomer, but he has a whole thing on guy's name. How they spell the name, Aaron, Aaron, and Jeff, Geoff, and that's going to be a base hit, maybe extra bases. Nope, Smith will get over there, and he's going to hold on to it. And Bartlett will have his first base hit. Remember, he walked his first time up. Well, actually, if you remember, he got down 0-2 in the count and worked it all the way back to a walk. And this is Muskowski. You know, Major kind of overshadowed everybody with his 2 home runs today. But Muskowski's, that's not. He's a right-handed batter. And there's the out. I need him to turn around and tell me who he is. That's Godzik, Justin Godzik. But Muskowski had a huge day. And it should be Belomo. Will it be Belomo? Because I can't see. You have to wait to see their jersey number. Yeah, that's Ryan. I saw a 16 on his back. But I just want to go back to Muskowski because he reached on an error and scored in the 2nd. Had a triple, drove in 2 runs and scored in the 3rd. In the 4th, he had a single and scored. And then in the 5th, he had a double and scored. And like I said, that's going to be overshadowed by the 2 home runs. We'll go to the 7th, Rutland up 18-1 over Windsor. Pitcher for the 7th for Ryan Belomo. He's been the shortstop, and they slid him over to the pitching spot now. And Matt Tuff's top of the order up. And if Rutland can maintain at least a 10-run lead, they will win the game right here. It'll be a shortened game. Corey Tilson on deck, and Alex Drost will bat number 3. You know, and again, I know Windsor's a weaker opponent. I understand that. But you go through all the games that we've seen so far. And boy, Rutland just pretty tight. And they'll drop strike 3, and they'll throw down the first. There is the out. So the strikeout to start off things. And I'm going to put the 2-3. Yep. Now Tilson up. 0 for 2 today, but he has had a walk. But like I said, you go from that first spot in the order to everybody they plugged in, and everybody's contributed in some way, you know, drawing a walk, hitting the ball, hitting doubles, hitting home runs, hitting singles. The fielding has just been, again, just superb. I don't think the pitching was too bad today at all. McMahon kind of leveled off halfway through that first inning. I thought Triller in his 1 inning worked through brilliantly. It was excellent. He's back in center field now. Horvath has moved to left, and Justin Godzik has come into play right. Blandy, Eric Godzik, Favreau, and Bartlett are on the infield. Crosby's the catcher, and Ryan Belomo is the pitcher. A lot of depth on this roster. Like I said, Major with a couple home runs. Muskowski almost hit for the cycle. Triller, again, doing everything from the leadoff spot. Yeah, I just go through the book, and there's right now I just can't find a weakness. Not that I want one. I don't want to find one for the heck of it. I'm just looking. I don't want to get my hopes up too high. But got a solid post 31 team. That's a slow roller down to Eric Godzik. He'll flip to Blandy, and there's the second out. So Rutland 1 out away from maintaining their undefeated season, which is not their goal. I mean, the odds of them losing are very, just because of Legion baseball and the season's length of it and the opponents you play are all good. I can't see them not losing games. But what a good start to the first 25% of the season, or where we're at now. Belomo had some pop on it, but a little bit high, and Drost laid off it. Ooh. Snaps that off for a strike on the inside corner. So 1-1 the count. Yeah, and again, just a good-looking pitch, but just a tad bit below the knee. Couldn't get the call, so it goes to 2-1. 2 balls, 1 strike. Blasted back upstairs and too high. So the first 3-1 count for Ryan Belomo. Him and Crosby get on the same page, and the pitch coming will be ball 4. So that will send Drost down to first base via the walk and Win Townsend up. He struck out twice and he walked his last time up. He has caught all 6 innings for Windsor. Nate Swan started the ball game behind the plate, of course, for Rutland, and Crosby came in, I believe, 3 innings ago to relieve him. There's a strike on the fastball. Again, a nice, relaxing afternoon at St. Peter's Field, and I urge you to get down here. Oh, he just reared back and overpowered Townsend right there. So looking to end the ball game right here. It's an 0-2 count, 2 down. Rutland up by 17. And he did it. That's going to be the ball game. He'll end it on a strikeout. And again, just a strong performance by Post 31. But, you know, for only 9 players, I think Windsor really didn't do a bad job at all. So congratulations to Post 31. A good effort by Windsor. Really, get out here. Watch a game live. Then go home and watch it again on Channel 15 or on PEGTV.com. This has been Munger Vision, of course. Who else will be bringing you all this local sports action?